duration 1 month, rash of duration 1 month, joint pain of duration 1 month. Fever is of high grade with chills, relieves on paracetamol, no diurnal variation, no history of travel abroad. Rash is transient, recurring after bout of fever, no pruritus. Joint pain, there is no swelling, it is migratory and episodic, present over knee, ankle, elbow and shoulder.
So you got the important complaints of this patient: fever, joint pain and rash. Okay.
Yes. General examination, she is conscious, oriented, pallor present, axillary lymph nodes are enlarged, multiple lymph nodes present, 1 into 2 centimeter, mobile, firm in consistency, present on both axilla. Purple colored rash present on both lower limbs, upper limbs, chest and abdomen, which faded after some time. Pulse rate 72 per minute, BP 120 by 18 millimeters of mercury, respiratory rate 18 per minute, febrile, lymphadenopathy present. Abdominal examination showed liver is palpable 4 centimeter below right costal margin in mid-clavicular line, smooth surface, rounded borders, moves with respiration. Spleen is palpable 1 centimeter below left costal margin, smooth surface. Other systems are within normal limits.
So you have got the history now. So the question is, so these are the lymph nodes seen. Okay. So what are the possibilities that comes to your mind? This is a temperature chart of this patient, and this is a pattern of fever seen in this patient. So you have got history, you have got the lymph node representation, you have got the temperature pattern. So what are the possibilities that comes to your mind?
There can be an autoimmune disease, a flare-up of autoimmune.
It can be already existing flare-up, but there is no clue that was already existing before. Okay, that's a good thinking. Yes.
Then it can be infection.
It can be infection.
Meningococcal.
Meningococcal. What's the duration of the illness?
1 month, sir.
1 month. Do you think a meningococcal sepsis will remain for 1 month? It's potentially fatal disease, and the rash will also persist. Do not come and go. That's good thinking, though. Yes.
It can be a rheumatic fever.
Rheumatic fever. There's rash. There's arthritis. Okay. Right. But do you get lymph nodes in rheumatic fever?
Oh no, sir.
Not significant. Splenomegaly rheumatic fever?
No, sir.
Not really. But there's a couple of features are there. Fever is there. Rash is there. Arthritis is there. Okay. Any other possibility?
Infectious mononucleosis.
Infectious mononucleosis, what the usual duration of the illness?
More than 1 month.
Chronic, eh?
Chronic.
Usually an acute disease, infectious mononucleosis. And infectious mononucleosis produces a rash, which is there, not coming and going. And arthritis is also not a feature. Anything else?
Can be lymphoma.
Lymphoma is a possibility, but do you get rash in lymphoma?
No, sir.
No, that's the point. Or lymph nodes, spleen, liver, fever possible. Arthritis, is it possible? Not very common. Okay, right?
Okay. Then Lyme disease.
Lyme disease, how many cases do you get here? We don't have. But the possibility, yes, very good thinking. Possibility, some particular states of United States, but not in India. But in time you can get case from United States coming over here. Possibility must be thought of. But usually the rash is specifically okay for that illness. Okay. Then
Miliary TB.
Miliary TB can have fever, very good. Lymph nodes, excellent. Hepatosplenomegaly, excellent thinking. Arthralgia possible, even arthritis possible. What about rash? That it cannot be explained. Okay, go ahead.
HIV.
HIV is excellent thinking. Very good. So this patient can be having HIV flare-up. Arthralgia is well known. You can have lymph nodes. You can have spleen. What about rash?
In the like.
Well, at the beginning of the illness, during seroconversion, you get infectious mononuclear picture. A morbidly formed rash is possible with retrovirus infection. That's a very good thinking. And arthralgia is also possible. But this rash comes and goes, no?
Yes, sir. Transient.
It is transient rash. That's a possibility. That's the problem. So everything is there. Anything else can you think? So you put very good possibilities before us. And so you said infection can be viral. You said retrovirus. You said CMV. You said Epstein-Barr virus. Any bacterial infection, a viral infection, and you said bacterial. Miliary tuberculosis, classical example. Endocarditis can produce fever. It can produce rash. It can produce hepatosplenomegaly. Post-infectious illness, you mentioned about rheumatic fever. Odd points are there, but post-infection you can have arthritis, pain, liver. Okay. Drug-induced, is it possible?
Rash can be.
Rash can be drug-induced. You can have fever. You can have arthritis, rash.
Yes.
A situation called as DRESS syndrome. You would have heard about DRESS syndrome. And then some of the drugs can produce anaphylaxis. It can produce serum sickness also. Okay, you said connective tissue disease beginning itself. That's very good thinking. And then others are there. Serum sickness. What is serum sickness? Serum sickness is just like a hypersensitive reaction, but delayed. So once you take a drug, you have got hypersensitive reaction. Patient can manifest as fever, rash, urticaria, angioneuritic edema, and arthritis, maybe after 7 days. Again, you take the drug, and then second time you take this drug, within 2 days you can have this reaction. It will be symmetrical polyarthritis, and it can mimic rheumatoid disease or any other condition producing symmetrical polyarthritis. So history of drug intake is important here. Okay, can this be erythema nodosum? It doesn't go away just like that, comes and goes. It has specific sites. Okay, what about lepra reaction? No history, but fever can occur, arthritis can occur, rash can occur, lymph nodes can occur. So a couple of things are there in favor. We have to keep the possibilities wide open here. Okay, so differential diagnosis, viral fever. Okay, can this be a adult onset Still's disease?
Yes, sir.
Prolonged one. Viral fever is short-lived. Can this be rheumatoid arthritis?
Yes, sir, but rash is.
Fever.
Rash and
Fever is not
hepatosplenomegaly.
Fever is not a feature of rheumatoid arthritis, basically. Okay, and rash also not a feature of rheumatoid arthritis. SLE.
Can be.
The evanescent rash is not a feature of SLE. What's the classical rash of SLE? Can you just describe?
Malar rash.
Malar
Butterfly
rash. What's the peculiar to malar rash? It spares the nasolabial fold. It will be spared and can produce photosensitivity, exposed parts, can have urticaria, vasculitic lesions. Can this be dermatomyositis? Can there be rash in dermatomyositis? This is called classically heliotropic rash, seen over around the eyelid, around the orbit, lilac colored lesion. Similarly, you can have photosensitivity reaction in the description of shawl sign and V sign. Where do you put shawl in your shoulder? That particular area, and V in front of the neck, upper part of the chest, V, that area can also be affected. You can have a rash in the knuckles called as, what do you call the rash of dermatomycete knuckles? You can have some telangiectasia, the erythema around the nails as well. So dermatomyositis has got its own distribution and characteristic. Dressler syndrome, I said, is a situation characterized by eosinophilia, systemic reaction. Lymphoma, of course, rash is against. The rash of the knuckle is called Gottron's patches. Okay, you got it? Yes. Okay. So the viruses causing arthritis. Which are the viruses causing arthritis?
Hepatitis B and C can cause.
Excellent, excellent, very good. Okay, what else?
Then parvovirus.
Parvovirus B19. It can mimic even rheumatoid arthritis. It can produce a chronic arthritis. Excellent, very good. Okay.
Then HIV.
HIV is well known to produce arthritis. Now, okay, HIV produces peculiar types of arthritis, and that's fine. Okay, then. So, I show you a picture and tell me what virus was produced arthritis in that patient. The patient has come. Which organ is shown here? Nose. So, which arthritis is here? Patient has got fever, severe arthritis, and you examine and you find this very common. We had plenty of cases of this type. Some acute pigmentation during the illness. So this is a classical picture of chikungunya nose. Okay, once you see this, you must be able to make a diagnosis. So in the practice of medicine, physical findings sometimes speak for itself. Even without going for lab test, you may be able to say a possible diagnosis which may be correct also. So there are many conditions producing arthritis, and everything you said except chikungunya. There were epidemics of chikungunya, and Kerala also had 2-3 years consecutively. We had plenty of cases of disabling type of arthritis. Patient goes to sleep, wakes up in the morning, severe pain and fever, and such a way that the patient will be standing bent. So the term chikungunya is coming from a term by which means that the patient cannot straighten up. Knees are bent, neck is bent, trunk is bent. So whole patient will be bent. So sometimes it relieves by itself within 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Sometimes it takes months together. It could be very disabling type of arthritis. One of the most painful type of arthritis you can see, chikungunya. So this is a description. Look at the nose. Don't forget this nose at any time. So let us go to the provisional diagnosis of this case. What's the diagnosis so far? Tell one diagnosis.
SLE, rheumatoid arthritis.
So you have come to a conclusion. Let us see. You have got lymph nodes here. Looking at the lymph nodes, what are the possibilities that immediately comes to your mind?
It can be malignancy lymphomas.
Lymphoma top the list. Yes.
Infectious mononucleosis.
Treatable option tuberculosis never should be forgotten. Other condition like can also produce. So group of conditions producing lymph nodes. Come to joint pains. You already mentioned connective tissue diseases, rheumatoid and SLE you said, but one thing you left over. What is that?
Sarcoidosis.
Yes. So can it affect the skin?
Yes.
What type of lesion you get? Classically described as lupus pernio. Also you can have infiltration, different parts of skin, particularly in the scars. Sarcoid can produce PUO, hepatomegaly, splenomegaly, can produce arthritis.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it can produce arthritis, can produce lymph nodes. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, it can. So whatever you said today in this patient is possible with the case of sarcoidosis. But hepatosplenomegaly, what are the differential diagnoses you will say? Lymphoma,
Lymphoma.
tuberculosis, IMN, brucella, typhoid,
Okay.
connective tissue diseases, everything. No? SLE, sarcoid. Coming to the rash, what are the possibilities you consider?
It can be SLE, Still's disease.
SLE rash, we already said, butterfly shaped rash. IMN will not last this long. What's the peculiarity of IMN? What produces rash in IMN? How do you precipitate rash of IMN? If you are diagnosed of IMN, what test can you do indirectly? You give ampicillin, it produces rash. Okay, and this rash of IMN will not last 1 month, like this patient. What about Still's disease? Still's disease is what is seen in systemic onset disease seen in children. We characterize by fever and arthritis, and it can occur in adult also. Okay, it can occur in adults also.
Okay.
So, what are the common mechanisms of fever in any patient? Infections, yes.
Okay. Infections, or it can be aseptic fever also. Without
Yes.
infection, with infection.
Yes.
Then
Inflammations,
and
drug-induced fever, malignancy, and non-specific things like sarcoid. So, fever is possible with different entities. Now, coming to the arthritis. So, what are the episodic arthritis you know of?
SLE can have migratory and episodic.
Okay, SLE migratory is possible.
Rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh, no. Have you heard of rheumatic fever?
Yes, sir.
Yes. There's an entity called palindromic rheumatism. Palindromic rheumatism. Have you heard an entity called gout?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So gout, pseudo gout, palindromic rheumatism are all conditions producing episodic arthritis. Tell me some non-deforming arthritis. Arthritis which will not produce deformities. No deformity.
None.
So rheumatic fever.
Reactive. Okay.
Rheumatic fever. Majority of the case of reactive arthritis, of course. Viral arthropathies. Okay. No deformities are seen. Okay. Any other? Okay. So, episodic arthritis, migratory arthritis, non-deforming arthritis. So, you have mentioned the 3 categories of situation. Now, tell me deforming arthritis.
Gout.
Gout, chronic gout. Yes, not acute, chronic gout. Yes. Rheumatoid disease, osteoarthritis. You have psoriatic arthritis, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. Then sometimes you can have deformity because of neuropathic joint also. Hemophilia, bleeding in a joint can produce deformities. So osteoarthritis is very common, rheumatoid is common, psoriatic is common. Commonly, SLE will not produce deformity, commonly. And rheumatic fever, never ever. So short-lived arthritis will not produce commonly deformities. Okay. What about rash? Name some fevers with a rash.
Measles.
Means any all viral diseases. Okay. Viral disease. What are the features of viral rash? In a clinical medicine, the what? How will you recognize viral rash? Viral rash is recognized. Yes, you are right. Come on.
Vesicular.
Viral rash, as for a classical march, it starts from the hairline and goes down, just like classical measles rash. It can be maculopapular, rarely it can be vesicular. Okay, now it can be painful, it can be pruritic. Okay, so it can affect the palms and soles also. And involvement of the pharynx is very common with viral rash. Oral cavity, that's called enantheme. So on the skin you got exantheme, in the mouth you got enantheme. And redness of the eyes, congenital involvement is common with viral rash. And edema associated may also be a feature. Okay?
Okay.
So that's how you recognize the viral rash. Okay. So evanescent rash, which are the conditions where you get coming and going? What is the rash of rheumatic fever called? Erythema marginatus. All written the erythema marginatum. Where do you look for erythema marginatum?
On the extent.
Erythema marginatus is classically seen in the trunk. How long does it last? It lasts only few minutes or maximum 1 hour, 2 hours. It is very transient rash, but it doesn't come and go. It's the rarest of the manifestation of rheumatic fever is seen only in 5% of individuals. What about rash of Still's disease, adult onset Still's disease? When the Still's disease occurs in young, old, grown-up people, you call it as adult onset.
Okay.
Yes. So, what is the cause of adult onset Still's disease? What type of rash you get? What type of rash you get?
Salmon colored.
Salmon colored, yes. It will produce classically rash that comes and goes. But there is all peculiarity. The rash will appear soon after fever comes. Every day fever comes, every day rash comes, fever subsides, rash disappears. That is very characteristic of Still's disease. So adults suffering the Still's disease will have this pattern, right? Okay, got it?
Yes, sir.
Now, these were the investigations. It was done outside the hospital. Can you tell what are the important things in this investigation? Do not read everything. Whatever strikes your attention, which you think is relevant in this case discussion. Anemia is there. Good.
Thrombocytopenia is there.
Thrombocytopenia, is it? In normal range.
Yes.
Normal.
ESR is raised.
Yes. What is normal ESR? Can you tell me?
45 to 8.
Normal ESR. What's the age of this patient?
70.
This patient's age?
29 years.
So 29-year-old female is expected to have ESR of 29 divided by 2. That is 14.5 plus 5 for females. So age by 2 is the usual ESR for males. Females add 5. So it's quite high. Okay. Then
Splenomegaly is there.
it's CRP is upper limit is 6. So it's elevated. You do not know the upper limit. It is elevated. Okay. What do you think about ferritin? Ferritin is high. Ferritin is high. Iron deficiency, you say when it is less than 15. Less than 12 is the correct for iron deficiency. 12. Here's 2000.
Okay.
What is ferritin?
Iron transport.
Ferritin is an acute phase reactant.
Okay.
The two types of acute phase reactant, you know, positive and negative. Negative will go down like albumin, and positive will go up like ferritin. C-reactive protein, positive. Okay, they'll go with infections, inflammation, trauma. Acute phase reactant. So it's high. Okay. There is splenomegaly. Clinically also you got splenomegaly, but there are paraiotic lymphadenopathy.
Lymph node.
So there's subcentric axillary lymph nodes. Okay. Ultrasound abdomen is normal except for spleen and liver. So obviously they have done a lymph node biopsy and it shows Only reactive lymphadenitis. What does it mean to you? It means that your first possibility, lymphoma, is ruled out. It's unlikely. Okay, so that's unlikely. And bone marrow shows only hypercellular marrow with normoblastic maturation. Okay, nothing specific there. So important investigations you have already picked up, and that's what is shown here. Okay, and investigations were repeated when after coming to our hospital, and these are the investigations done. What do you tell me important things here?
There is anemia.
Anemia has become more
raised.
Yes, anemia has become severe. ESR is raised. The C3, C4 is normal. If you know the normal range. Okay, ANA.
Antinuclear.
Antibody is negative. Okay. The RF is rheumatoid factor.
Rheumatoid factor
is negative. Citrullinated peptide, cyclic citrullinated peptide antibody is also negative. What does it mean to you? So this is a seronegative state. Serologically, it's negative for rheumatoid factor and ACCP. Okay. Liver function is normal, except for albumin, which is slightly low. 3.5 is the usual albumin, just below normal. Okay. And electrolytes are normal, and LDH is slightly elevated. Triglyceride is 303, normal is less than 150. Ultrasound abdomen is normal, but the ferritin has gone up to 6,959. Okay, urea is normal. Okay, so where are you now? Can you go ahead anywhere? Have you become wiser after these tests? More or less same result, but only thing. It can be
adult onset Still's disease, seronegative.
It is seronegative. Yes, it is seronegative. It is seronegative.
Adult onset Still's disease
is possible. Okay, so you have got couple of things here. ESR is going up. Rheumatoid factor ACCP is becoming high. Triglyceride is going up. Conspicuously, ferritin is going up, very much up. Okay, so what's your final diagnosis? You said?
Adult onset Still's disease.
You said adult onset Still's disease. So, for diagnosis of adult onset Still's disease, we can have criteria. Adult onset Still's disease is a diagnosis by exclusion. There is no specific laboratory investigation to clinch the diagnosis. As you said at the beginning itself, there are ever so many conditions producing fever, ever so many conditions producing arthritis, ever so many conditions producing hepatosplenomegaly, ever so many conditions producing rash. Okay, so you rule out common things by investigation which you already done, particularly for lymphoma. Lymph node biopsy was done. So you go for this Yamaguchi's criteria. The idea of this criteria is, when you say you have a case of adult onset disease, since there is no laboratory investigation, you must have some clues with you. First of all, you exclude infections. With investigations, you exclude malignancies. You exclude rheumatic diseases. Once you excluded, that's the last column. You can see three things are there. Once you excluded them, then you think are the major criteria there. Of course, arthralgia is there. Fever is there, more than 39. Peculiar to the fever is it's intermittent and it's quotidian. What do you mean by quotidian?
70.
Intermittent fevers are classified into quotidian, tertian, and quartan. Quotidian fever comes every day. Tertian fever comes on alternate days, just like malaria. And quartan fever comes every third day. So here's a quotidian fever coming every day. And it has got typical rash in the sense it's evanescent, maculopapular, is a salmon color you said, and it comes and goes usually in the trunk, maybe in the arms also. It can be in the face, commonly in the trunk, abdomen, upper thighs and so on. It comes along with the fever and goes away. That's the peculiarity. So if you got fever every day, it comes every day with fever and goes away. So you look for it, you get it as a clinical diagnosis. So clinical suspicion, you tell the patient to call you when there's fever, you go there at that time and see the rash, that you can clean the diagnosis. Okay, commonly the count is very high. In our patient, count was below 10,000. Okay, but still 3 criteria are already satisfied here. So for making a diagnosis, you need 5 criteria, and this patient has got lymphadenopathy, splenomegaly, and negative for antinuclear factor and rheumatoid factor. That's enough to make a diagnosis of adult onset Still's disease. So this diagnosis coming by exclusion. You have to put all other possibilities first. Infections first, malignancy second, rheumatic diseases third. Okay. So since there is no lab diagnosis possible, you go for these criteria. And how do you treat these patients? This patient has got complaint, fever, arthralgia,
Yes, sir.
rash. Patient not well.
Steroid.
Steroid. Okay. Any other possible thing you can give?
EMA.
So you have to give the hydroxychloroquine. Okay, that was what was given. And patient was also given tablet prednisolone. Okay. So adult onset Still's disease is an inflammatory disorder characterized by quotidian type of fever, salmon colored or pink colored macules. In our complexion, sometimes it may not be as classical seen as in white skin. It's more prominent at the peak of the fever, and palms and soles may also be affected. And it also produces arthritis. It is a diagnosis by exclusion. It is eponym for juvenile idiopathic or inflammatory arthritis with systemic features. There are many postulates regarding the reason why people suffer with it. Basically, it is unknown. But there are some infections like Yersinia, enterocolitica, mycoplasma pneumonia which are postulated, and there may be some genetic predisposition also in this patient. And what will happen to these patients? You start a steroid, what will happen? Do they get well or?
The arthritis subsides.
Different people go through different stages. So it can be a simple one episode of illness called monophasic, lasting only few weeks or months, completely resolving in 1 year. Or it can come and go, intermittent disease, but these patients can also have articular symptoms. But between episodes, they are having complete remission, just like a gout or pseudo gout or palindromic rheumatism or mat fever. In between, they are all right. And it can last from 1 week to 1 year. But there's a minority who will have persistent active disease. And it is this group of patients who can have very bad involvement of the wrist, producing ankylosis of the wrist. Once wrist becomes ankylosed, you cannot properly use it. You cannot write it. This movement of dorsiflexion is not possible. And ulnar movement, radial movement are not possible. Circumflexion is not possible. So functionally you become very much disabled. So that's also possible. So it can become chronic. So clinical features, majority will have fever, rash, myalgia just like this patient, splenomegaly. Pharyngitis is a tricky situation. Majority of these patients will say illness started as fever with pharyngitis. So when you say I got fever with pharyngitis, then arthritis, what will you suspect?
Still.
Pardon? You will suspect rheumatic fever.
Rheumatic.
Fever. Post-streptococcal inflammatory arthritis called rheumatic fever. Okay. Minority will be having hepatomegaly as in our patient. Still minority will have pericarditis, abdominal pain. And a serious fatal complication is called as macrophage activation syndrome. That's a complication of this illness. It could be potentially fatal. So the peculiarity of this rash is evanescent. It comes and goes. It comes at the peak of the fever, and they can have Koebner phenomenon. What is that?
When we strike the skin with the
Koebner phenomenon is
spreads along.
when you scratch, along the scratching, it will spread. That's called as Koebner phenomenon. Okay. Histologically, you have perivascular inflammation, lymphocytes, histiocytes. Okay. If you take a biopsy, if you go for immunofluorescence, you may be able to either a deposition of complement in the blood vessel wall. So rash will be something like this. In a brown skin, it may not be possible to sometimes make out, but patient will be able to say, I have a rash, and you can have a close look, and how does it look like. Inflammation it can be characterized by raised ESR, C-reactive protein elevation. Abnormal LF is the usual feature. Our patient, the globulin was 3.2. Hypergammaglobulin can occur in these patients. Ferritin, our patient had 6,000, and it can go very much up. So ferritin is also used not only to help in the diagnosis, but also to support response of the patient to treatment. Okay, and the complement level can be variable. Commonly they are negative formative factor and ANA. So Yamaguchi's criteria we already said. It's only repetition, major criteria, minor criteria, provided you have excluded important conditions like infections, malignancies, and rheumatic diseases. Since it's a diagnosis of exclusion, commonly this criteria is adopted. Otherwise, you are likely to miss important diagnoses like lymphoma. So, for students' purpose, commonly it starts as pharyngitis and go by the rule of P. Pyrexia, pleurisy, pericarditis can occur, polyarthralgia. Symptomatic treatment is a must. So, you give NSAIDs that may not be enough majority of the cases, and you have to give anti-inflammatory dose 0.5 to 1 milligram per kilogram body weight. So it's pretty high dose, and gradually you can taper off. Once the patient do not respond, you can go and treat with the interleukin-1 inhibitors, and sometimes you will be forced to use interleukin-6 inhibitors or even etoposide. The duration of treatment is also very long, till all the signs disappear, or 1 year, whichever is longer for these patients. So today's discussion is basically a patient with a fever with pyrexia origin, with rash and arthritis, superadded with lymph nodes and hepatosplenomegaly. So this case is basically to get a clue regarding the differential diagnosis. We have gone through ever so many conditions as a differential diagnosis. We have to rule out one by one. If you want to rule out one by one, you should have a basic idea about each of those conditions. So ultimately we said the complication. Complication is macrophage activation syndrome. There are two varieties, primary and secondary. Second, whenever macrophage activation syndrome occurs in the background of other autoimmune disease like SLE, adult onset cell disease, systemic juvenile idiopathic arthritis, okay, you call it as macrophage activation syndrome. Basically, it is a activation of lymphocytes, which in turn activates the macrophage, which produces a lot of cytokine, a storm-like feature, liberating interleukin-1, interleukin-6, TNF-alpha. So when we said interleukin-1, interleukin-6 antagonists are used, this was the basic purpose behind it. And to confirm it, commonly what is done is a couple of investigation, ferritin level, and commonly it is characterized by cytopenia. So whenever fever persists, number two, when the counts go down, you suspect macrophage activation syndrome, and you check for ferritin triglycerides, and fibrinogen, you may get the diagnosis of macrophage activation syndrome. And commonly you do a bone marrow and you can see the macrophages are engulfing the cells. So that is how commonly this is diagnosed. Okay, now comes the questions to junior residents. Tell me about the different types of arthritis seen in HIV patients. What different types of arthritis in HIV patients? Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay, very good. Reactive arthritis. So HIV can produce arthritis in the natural history anywhere, starting with the seroconversion reaction, where you can have transient arthritis. Subsequently, you can have what is called painful articular syndrome, lasting for very short period, affecting knees or ankles, very severe pain. So that's called painful articular syndrome. Third variety is called chronic HIV arthropathy, characterized by lasting inflammatory arthritis. The fourth variety is called reactive arthritis, just like any other patient with reactive arthritis. And commonly you can have spondyloarthritis, which is said to be the classical one. There are a lot of disturbances. Others have to switch off, go to mute. Then we have got psoriatic arthritis. And peculiar to psoriatic arthritis is it can appear for the first time in HIV patient. Already existing psoriasis can flare up very badly and they may become resistant to treatment.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And what is the basic difference between macrophage activation syndrome and HLH? Macrophage activation syndrome is a term used when you have got this hemophagocytosis, lymphohistiocytosis in the background of other autoimmune diseases. There was a mention about Lyme disease. Now tell about erythema chronicum migrans. Erythema chronicum migrans is a skin lesion seen classically in Lyme disease, usually at the site of bite. Which one bites? Which one bites? Tick. Okay. And we also mentioned about interleukin 1 inhibitor. Can you name one interleukin 1 inhibitor? Anakinra. So tell me something about interleukin 6 inhibitor. Tocilizumab is said to be one classical, which is commonly given for these type of patients. So what are the problems of tocilizumab? What are side effects you expect? Hypertriglyceridemia, one side effect, and specific type of infection can follow, namely herpes simplex infection. Herpes simplex infection, specific for tocilizumab. Of course, all other infections can occur in everybody. Are there any other indication to use interleukin 6 inhibitors? We already mentioned it can be given in adult onset disease. It can be given in macrophage activation syndrome. It can be given for resistant case of rheumatoid arthritis. Also given for varieties of spondyloarthropathy. Okay, so everything is possible with the interleukin 6. Okay. Now, what are different patterns of arthritis HIV you already mentioned? Can this condition called adult onset disease become adult rheumatoid arthritis subsequently? That's the question.
Yes, sir.
Can it occur? Very common.
Not very common.
Yes.
But there are.
Yes. So minority of them will become permanently rheumatoid arthritis. Now tell me, the COVID-19 is going on. What is the connection with the discussion today?
The macrophage activation syndrome.
Is very commonly seen in these patients. Okay, so that is something to be thought of. So you do ferritin, you check for the cytopenia, and you can diagnose it. Okay, now comes the question, what is meant by autoinflammatory disease?
Autoimmune causes.
Autoinflammatory disease, the term is very clear. It is an inflammation against one's own body, but our own immune system, without the mediation of any antibodies. How do you recognize them? Episodes of unprovoked inflammation starting in childhood, characterized by fever, rash, and arthralgia. The patient under discussion had fever, arthralgia, and rash. When it comes episodically, think about autoinflammatory disease. It is different from autoimmune disease. What's different between autoimmune and autoinflammatory?
Antibody will be positive.
In case of autoimmune disease, autoinflammatory disease, there will not be any antibodies. Can you give some examples for autoinflammatory diseases? Yes, familial Mediterranean fever,
Okay.
TRAPS syndrome. Any other syndrome can you make out? CAPS syndrome, CAPS, CAPS, cryopyrin associated periodic
Right.
fever syndrome. There's something called PAPA, PAPA. So the different varieties of autoinflammatory diseases are there. So today's case teaches basically, and when I showed you the temperature pattern, I think all of you have seen the peculiar pattern I've shown. That is a ear of a rabbit. So this is a pattern of fever seen in these patients. Just two spikes. But important feature of this fever is fever does not touch normal, unlike classical intermittent fever, and the fluctuation within 4 hours will be more than 4 degrees. Suddenly shoots up and comes down. After some time, again it goes up and comes down. So this is called as rabbit ear pattern. So if you are properly recording your temperature chart, looking at that itself, you may be able to get a clue, are we dealing with this type of cases?